Following his meeting with President Putin, Foreign Minister al-Muallim announces Russia cooperate with Syria and President Bashar al-Assad in order to triumph over terrorism. Al-Muallim said the talks also centered on the situation in the region. He said the conspiracy hatched against Syria by Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey and others is no more a secret, pointing out that he affirmed to the Russian leadership the Syrian people's and leadership's determination to combat terrorism. Al-Muallim added that the talks also covered the UN Special Envoy to Syria, Staffan de Mistura's mission. Viewpoints were identical between the two sides to support his efforts aimed at freezing the situation in the city of Aleppo, Mr. Al-Muallim added.
President Putin affirmed Russia's determination to cooperate with Syria and President Bashar al-Assad for defeating terrorism and deepening strategic partnership relations between both countries. I held discussions with my friend Lavrov about the current situation in the region, in addition to the conspiracy hatched against Syria by Turkey, Saudi Arabia and Qatar. I asserted to Mr. Lavrov the determination of the Syrian people and leadership to continue fighting terrorism.
For his part, Lavrov said Russia and Syria have a joint vision regarding the events in the region and in Syria in particular, and that the main factor behind what is happening is the growing terrorism. Lavrov underlined Moscow's readiness to create the appropriate circumstances to ensure the resumption of dialogue between Damascus and all concerned Syrian parties. The Russian foreign minister rejected the idea of organizing an international conference on a wide scale about Syria, similar to the Geneva conferences. He added that the terrorists' effort to change the system in Syria is absolutely impermissible.
Russia will continue supporting Syria and other countries that are suffering from terrorism. We will also support them with regards to their combat capabilities in the face of terrorism. We believe that fighting terrorism should be in accordance with international standards and without double standards. We have some questions concerning the acts of the coalition formed by the United States, which claimed that this coalition has the right to launch strikes on the areas where Islamic State fighters are present inside Syria without coordinating with Syrian authorities in Damascus. This is contrary to international law and standards.
Syrian Arab army units have destroyed the terrorist al-Nusra organization's warehouses that contained weapons and ammunition in Ahmed Salim's and Abdulaziz Abeid's farms near Al-Mustafa Mosque in Al-Rastan. They also eliminated other terrorists in a number of villages in Homs suburb. In Deir ez-Zor, the Syrian Arab army destroyed a 30-meter-long tunnel and a terrorist headquarters in Al-Jubayla neighborhood. It also demolished armed men's gatherings in Hwayjat Sakr, Al-Hwayqa and Al-Rujdiyah. A car bomb in Al-Mayadeen has meanwhile killed a number of ISIL terrorists. The Iraqi armed forces continue their military operations in Al-Anbar to expel ISIL from Al-Ramadi and Ninawa, killing 12 ISIL terrorists and dismantling 2 booby-trapped cars in Biji, north of Tikrit. The Iraqi forces had earlier repelled an attack by ISIL at the surroundings of Al-Mosul Dam and Kirkuk, inflicting on them heavy losses. The Iraqi Air Forces also targeted an ISIL gathering, killing ISIL leader and 20 other terrorists in Heat, west of Al-Anbar. The Iraqi army has moreover intercepted an attack in Al-Ramadi, inflicting on the terrorists huge losses in men and material. It has been reported meanwhile that a large military operation is about to start to liberate the villages of Karataba northeast of Baquba. Israeli occupation troops launched a wide-scale inspection campaign in occupied Jerusalem and in different parts of the West Bank, during which 15 Palestinians were arrested. The Israeli army broke into Al-Isawiya town and Sha'afat refugees camp and detained 2 Palestinians. They used tear gas to disperse the citizens who gathered in the place. Meanwhile, the Zionist settlers attacked a car workshop in An-Nabiliyas area in Qalqilia, beating some workers inside. The UN permanent observer who represents Palestine, Riyad Mansour, called on the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon to take necessary measures in accordance with legitimacy resolutions to prevent Israel from pursuing a racist Judaization policy against the Palestinians. The U.S. National Guard troops and police aimed to head off a third night of violence on Wednesday in Ferguson, Missouri, as more than 400 people have been arrested in the St. Louis suburb and around the United States in unrest after a white policeman was cleared in the killing of an unarmed black teenager. There have been protests in Boston, New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, Atlanta and other cities decrying Monday's grand jury decision not to indict Officer Darren Wilson in the August 9th shooting death of 18-year-old Michael Brown in a case that has touched off a debate about race relations in the United States. Ferguson, a predominantly black city, has been hit by 2 nights of rioting, looting and arson, with some businesses burned to the ground, but authorities say an increased security presence on Tuesday night helped quell the violence. Finally, in Afghanistan, 5 civilians, including a foreigner, were killed in a suicide attack by a motorcycle bomb targeting a British embassy vehicle in the capital, Kabul. A source in the Afghan Interior Ministry said 4 civilians, in addition to a foreigner, were killed and 33 others were wounded in a suicide attack, without disclosing the foreigner's nationality. British embassy spokesman confirmed there were no British diplomats in the vehicle at the time of the attack. With this, we conclude our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Karun Kukcan, but after a short break.